This content features my AI-generated voice and an AI avatar. The content, opinions, and professional assessments are entirely my own and are based on my original materials. Using advanced technology allows me to bring you new content more quickly, more consistently, and even more up-to-date insights. Now enjoy watching and listening.
Hello, I'm Dr. Martin Baxman. Today I want to talk about something that's probably one of the biggest silent profit killers in any practice, and that's waste. We're going to dive into how we can systematically eliminate it using a really powerful framework called the 5S method. This quote right here, it's really the heart of our entire discussion. Think about it. When we let unnecessary stuff, whether it's physical items, clunky processes, or just plain distractions, pile up, what happens? We fundamentally lose the focus that's absolutely required for the high-level clinical work we do. And look, this isn't just about a messy desk or disorganized storage room. Clutter in a practice, well, it leads directly to wasting your most valuable resources. We're talking about your money, your team's talent, your time, and of course, your own energy. This is a systemic problem, and you know what? It requires a systemic solution. So, what's that solution? It's what I call Lean Orthodontics. Now, this isn't just about tidying up. No, it's a whole management philosophy. It's about consciously, deliberately designing our practice to get rid of anything that disrupts a streamlined, efficient, and really focused way of working. Okay, so here's our roadmap. We'll kick things off by digging into the problem, the high cost of clutter. Then, we'll walk through each of the 5S steps: sort, systematize, clean, and standardize, and the big one, discipline. And finally, we'll get to the good part, the payoff for you and your practice. So let's take a closer look at the method itself. It's all built on these 5 pillars: sort, systematize, clean, standardize, and self-discipline. And what's so great about this is that each step logically builds on the one before it. It all comes together to create a really powerful system for a truly efficient and, believe me, low-stress environment. All right, let's start with the first S, sort. This is the foundation, the very first step. And it's simple, really. It just means sorting out and then getting rid of everything that's unnecessary. It's all about ruthless simplification. Now, what's so powerful here is how broadly this concept applies. We're talking about getting rid of those old physical model cabinets and going fully digital, freeing up all that space. It also means stop collecting materials from every single manufacturer you meet at a conference. Instead, master one core system. Ask yourself, do you really need 10 different arch forms? Or could you just perfect your wire bending for that rare outlier case? This even applies to diagnostics. Do you truly need every single value from a Ceph analysis? Or can you just focus on the key dimensions to solve the problem at hand? And here's a big one. This even applies to our patient list. It means prioritizing the ideal patients you love to treat over those who, let's be honest, consistently disrupt your workflow and your team's morale. Okay, so once we've sorted everything out, what's next? Well, now we can move on to the second S, which is systematize. See, once you've gotten rid of everything that's unnecessary, the next step is to create a logical, strategic arrangement for everything that's left. Let me give you a really practical example of this. In my own practice, for something as complex as a Class 2 case, we've created a super simple system. We have a cabinet with drawers, and they're clearly labeled for each main treatment path. Drawer A for functional, B for distalization, and so on. What does this do? It makes our decision-making incredibly fast, consistent, and predictable. There's zero guesswork. And this very same principle applies right down to the micro level. Every single drawer at every single one of your treatment chairs has to be stocked identically. The goal here is simple. You or your assistant should be able to reach for an instrument without even looking, knowing with absolute certainty that it's going to be there. That right there is the essence of systematization. All right, moving on. Next up, we're actually going to combine the third and fourth steps, clean and standardize. This is where we really elevate the whole concept. We're moving beyond just organizing our physical space, and now we're organizing our mental space and all of our processes. So here's the crucial point I want you to get. Cleanliness is so much more than just basic hygiene. It's about mental hygiene. Think about it. If the light on your chair is broken, you can't see properly to bond a bracket. Right? That creates waste, it creates frustration. If personal phones are out on the counter during treatment planning, focus is just shattered. A clean workspace is one that is completely free from any and all distractions. And this idea of clean extends to your team's communication too. Is it clean? Is it purposeful? I remember I once had a lab employee who waited an entire day just to ask a simple follow-up question. That delay, that was a huge form of waste, and it could have been completely eliminated in 2 minutes if we had clear, immediate communication protocols in place. So that brings us to standardization. This is all about the workflow itself. It's about creating that rock-solid consistency using tools like consultation scripts, predictable appointment chains, and yes, even a unified dress code. Because when every single team member is aligned in their language and their actions, the patient feels secure. They get it. They understand that your entire practice operates as one single cohesive unit. And that brings us to the fifth, and I would argue the most critical S, self-discipline. Now, this isn't just another step on the list. This is the leadership trait that makes sure the first 4 steps actually stick around. Because let me tell you, without discipline, the entire system will eventually just collapse. I often use this analogy in my mentoring programs. I tell people there are really 2 types of professionals. First, you have the firefighter. This is the person who's constantly improvising, skipping steps, and literally running around putting out fires that, frankly, they created themselves. Their days are filled with stress, and the results, they're all over the place, inconsistent. But then there's the James Bond professional. This person follows the system. They stay composed. They're always in control, even when things get complicated. Their work environment is basically zero stress, and the results are predictably excellent every time. The difference between them? It's discipline. So you might be thinking, after all this work, the sorting, the systematizing, the standardizing, what's the ultimate payoff? What's the real return on this investment of effort and discipline? Well, for one thing, you completely avoid that yo-yo effect, where order just descends back into chaos every few months. But even more importantly, you make yourself dispensable for all the small, repetitive tasks. And what does that do? It frees up your mental energy, it frees up your time to focus on what you actually do best, your core clinical expertise. And the ultimate goal, it gives you the freedom to actually have a life outside the office. So, I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about for your own practice. When you walk through your clinic doors each morning, are you getting ready for a day of putting out fires, or are you the calm, composed professional who is in complete control of your environment? So ask yourself, are you the firefighter, or are you James Bond?